Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and today I am going to convince you why you should have goats on your farm or your homestead. The first thing we're going to talk about is the cost. The cheapest animal that you can bring onto your farm is probably going to be a chicken. Obviously chickens are very low cost. You don't need much for them, some feed, a little coop, water, that's without saying. But as far as bringing like a livestock animal, goats are going to be pretty cheap as well. The cost to actually buy the animal could be very minimal, and you can honestly find a lot of people that are getting rid of their goats for free. If it's something that you're interested in, I would definitely check out like your local Facebook pages or even like Craigslist. You can find people who are giving away older goats just so you can kind of test the waters and see if that's something you want to get into. These two girls I got for $250 a piece. Our first goats that we had back in 2016-ish, we actually got them for free from a friend. So the cost of getting the actual animal isn't going to be a lot. You can obviously, like any animal, something that is a lot higher in cost. That's going to be any animal. It all depends on the breeds, the bloodline, if they are registered, if they were a 4-H animal. A lot of things will go into the price, but you can definitely do it at a lower cost. Like I said, these girls are $250 a piece. They are registered, great bloodline. Their mom produces about like a gallon a day, which is what we're interested in. So $500 for 2 goats is not a whole heck of a lot. Also, you have to think about the cost of hay, feed, and what your shelter is going to be. So we already have a barn. They're in the barn. Food, we go to a co-op, so their food is not very much. I think we get 100 pounds for like 30 bucks. And then hay is probably like our highest cost, but we're actually working on getting our fields in shape to have hay here. So that's going to be minimal as well. But you can probably find hay at around your local area for about like $3 a bale. If you have 2 goats, you're probably going to need, I would think, well, depending on where you live too, because honestly, we live in northwestern Pennsylvania, so we have a pretty long winter, which is why we need hay. But if you live somewhere where it's warm and you have enough area for them to graze on, you probably won't even need that much hay. So for us, the hay cost is, we are planning on getting about 100 bales for the 2 goats. So you can do it pretty cheap. Oh my gosh. Farm life, right? Anyways, your minimal cost for the goats on there it's minimal compared to a cow. That's what I'm thinking of. If you're looking at a dairy animal, a cow is going to be much more. First of all, the cost of the cow is going to be over $2,000, especially if you're looking at like a Jersey cow or a cow that you can handle really well. They're going to be much more expensive than a goat. The other thing with cows is you're going to need more area for them to graze. You're going to need a lot more hay, and you're going to need something that you can keep those cows in. First of all, to milk. And second of all, they're going to need a bigger area to stay. If you live in an area like us where it's cooler, they're going to need a bigger area to stay. So everything is going to be much greater with a cow compared to a goat. Now, I have heard that sheep's milk is becoming a thing. I haven't done any research on it myself, but sheep's are probably going to be about the same cost as a goat, maybe a little bit more. Why I think you should have a goat on your farm is the cost. It's minimal cost to get in. It's low risk. You're not going to be spending $3,000 on an animal. It's not going to happen. Another reason why I think you should have goats on your farm or your homestead is they are just fun animals. I don't care what anybody says. If you are looking to have an animal on your farm or homestead, you want that animal to bring you joy. And I know this seems kind of woo-woo or whatever you want to say, but I have done goat yoga for 3 years with my other goats, and the joy that those goats brought to my community was amazing. And it brought in extra income too. So my thought is if you're going to get an animal, maybe you could start like a little petting zoo thing where you can bring in a couple extra bucks, or even start goat yoga or some sort of feel good thing with your animals. is always a good thing. I love coming out here and hanging out with the goats. The last thing you want to do is get an animal that you're, one, afraid of taking care of, two, they cause you more stress than they do joy, and three, that you're going to be, it's not gonna, like, you have to get up and come out and take care of these animals. If you're miserable about doing it and you don't enjoy the animal, then you're not going to want to do it, and it's going to cause you more stress than it is good. Goats are fun. They're funny to watch. They have great personalities. So that always brings it up on my chart a little bit. Another thing I think that is really important, and why I think you should have goats on your farm or your homestead, is they are multi-purpose. These goats for us are going to, hopefully we can do goat yoga again, and that is a huge money maker. It's a great way to make some extra money. Multi-purpose, you can use them for dairy, you can use them for breeding, you can use them for goat yoga, you can use them for a petting zoo. There's so many different things that you can use goats for, and they're easy to transport. You can honestly, like, I brought them home in my Jeep. I didn't have to, you know, find someone to borrow a trailer from, or, you know, buy a trailer. They're much more easier to handle. And then the last reason why I think you should have goats on your farm or your homestead is because they are going to help take care of any weeds or brush that you have. I know as a farmer, as a homesteader, that weeding, mowing, all of that stuff takes so much time that a lot of people don't even think about. And to have an animal that you can fence in an area and have them completely knock down all of that is so helpful. It's like a little weed eater that's just constantly going. When we had our other goats, we let them free range on our property. And I don't suggest that. I'm just saying we trained them and they didn't leave our property. And everything was like perfect. All the weeds were down. There was a downside, like I couldn't have any beautiful bushes. I couldn't have any landscaping because they would eat it, but they were great for that. They would keep down everything. They would trim our trees for us. So overall, I think goats are a great addition to a farm or a homestead. There are a couple of things that I will warn you of. They are great escape artists. So you need to make sure your fence is good. You need to make sure wherever you're keeping them is good, because I always say, if water can get through, a goat can get through. They will find a way out any way that they can. So make sure that you have a good area for them. If you're not going to train them to be free range, which again, I don't suggest, it was just what worked for us at the time, and they didn't leave, so it was fine. But yeah, they will get out. Another thing is, this is kind of a pro and a con. The pro is, if you're going to use them for breeding, their gestation period is much shorter than a cow, so you can breed them quicker, which means you'll end up with more goats, which means it's going to cost you more money. So that's just something that keep in the back of your mind. If you're going to use them for milk or breeding, obviously you have to breed them for them to get into milk, and you have to keep breeding them to keep getting milk, so you're going to end up with a lot of babies. For us, it was really hard to sell those babies because they're so dang cute. So it became a little bit more costly as your herd starts to grow. So just keep that in mind. Again, it's kind of a pro and a con at the same time. One other con that I'm gonna put out there, because I don't really hear many people talk about it, but if you have a buck on your homestead or farm, be prepared to smell that buck. We don't have a buck right now, and I don't plan on keeping a buck here, because we had a buck before and literally everything smelled like urine. Because what they do is they urinate on the female or wipe their urine on them to kind of claim them as their own, and it's smelly. It's really smelly, and I didn't realize that when I first got our goats, and I soon realized that they urinate on their beard, and then they wipe their beard on the girls, and then the girls smell. So if you're looking for an animal where you're going to be loving up on them, I probably wouldn't bring a buck onto your farm or homestead, because it's just going to stink, and you don't want that. Those are my reasons why I think you should have a goat on your farm or homestead. One thing I'm going to add is you cannot just have one goat. It is very important that you have at least two, because they are a herd animal. They do best when they have a partner. It could cause them a lot of stress if they're by themselves. So that's it. I hope you guys bring goats onto your farm. They are so great. Like I said, multi-purpose, low cost. I love them. I think they bring so much joy onto our farm and our homestead. My son loves them. He always asks to come out and hang out with the goats. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let me know if you are a goat lover or if you've had a bad experience in the comments. I love to hear both sides of the argument. I am obviously pro goat. So I will see you guys in the next one.